Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Nothing Exempt show. Today we are covering an ism for the ism show called Woke-ism. Nick, can you share with us the definition that you found?
Yeah, it's the definition of wokeism is that you could wake up at any time as a different person. It's basically this idea that the dream world that and the real world are really all in the same, they're just different planes, and that at any moment you might be just somebody else sleeping, or that you've woken up from several other lives in the past and you just don't remember.
Do you consider yourself a wokeist?
Of course, I mean, I remember when I lived a whole life until about the age of 60, and then I woke up as a 13-year-old in 2001.
Wow, that's crazy. I did look up on Wikipedia. There will be a link in the bottom of this video showing wokeism started with Grigorovich Rasputin. He was a healer back in about 1900s who developed the religion and became the first real wokist. He led the Tsar of Russia into being woke, and really he was so woke that in order to kill him they had to poison him, drown him, shoot him. They had to do everything to get this guy to die because he was such a powerful wokist. Where do we see wokeism in today's world, Nick? Like, how has this evolved into something that we now live with?
Yeah, I mean, it started to really start getting going in the 90s. Like REM's Losing My Religion is one of the most woke songs ever made, and it's kind of like the musical anthem of the ideology, because the whole song is that was just a dream, and he lost his religion, which is a southern term for losing your sanity, because he realized that you can wake up in other dreams, in other lives. And
When they wrote that, were they trying to have hidden messages, or were they trying to be upfront about it?
I'm not sure.
Because that's not something I knew about until you just told me, but it totally makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, so they are the most woke band of all times. REM. That actually is our rapid eye movement sleep. Is like what they got
Oh
their
my
name.
gosh. It's been right there in our face this whole time and we didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a reason that that's my favorite song when I was 4 years old.
Wow. So tell me about how you transitioned from your 60-year-old life to this life. Like, how was that? How'd that happen?
It was a little awkward at seventh grade because like it probably wasn't my first time. I probably had done it before in that, and it's not lined up in the same timelines. Like you could be somebody born in 2004, live till 2065, and then wake up as a 10-year-old at 1810. It's not linear.
You can jump from any timeline from one to the other.
Yeah,
How many people are, well, then how did it get started in 1900? What happened before then?
I think
Was
it's
this
always been
something,
around.
it's always been around, but it just wasn't documented?
Or even people just mistake these people for religious and spiritual mystics, or
This
they
kind
ascend, or they confuse this with old definitions of the afterlife or
so
reincarnation, depending on what religious tradition you come from.
as someone who's not woke, how many of these woke people are there around the world with me, just walking around, experiencing different timelines right now? Do we know?
There's billions, millions of people. I don't know if there's quite billions because there are more people alive now than there were in the past generations. But again, there's not just this dimension too. You know, you can wake up as anything. It was really awkward when I was back to seventh grade because I had a much bigger maturity level than everybody I was talking to. But then hormones kicked in. I lost my old man maturity pretty quickly by the time I was 15. But it was weird for a while.
And since we know that you easily forget dreams, do you also pretty easily forget whole past lives as you transition from one life to the
Well,
next?
that's what most people do. You've probably forgotten a few of them
Oh, you
yourself.
think everybody has been it lives in this world and we all can transfer from one dream to the next? Like
Yeah.
wokeism is for
What
everybody.
only makes
It's
somebody
not.
truly woke is that they're aware of it. A lot of
Uh,
people are unaware of it. Like that's the thing that is what is so disturbing to wokeism, which makes conservative people not like it, is that they don't realize that every day you fall asleep, you can wake up as a different person. They don't like that. It's like I'm not me then. Like there is no real you.
well, then how does the world keep growing in population? Where did these new spirits come from?
I mean, new spirits can be created. It's not some people are just fresh off the boat, metaphorically speaking.
What happens if the population of the world goes down?
I'm not really sure.
Will you have an ending then? Is that like you're just there's no more open bodies for you to move into?
I mean, some
So
people
this
can
never
just
happened.
die in their
Maybe.
original one. It's not like reincarnation where you when you die you automatically just become somebody else. You could still die and not wake up again. Like the great woke people have been able to avoid death by consciously being able to switch. But that takes a level of spiritual energy and comprehension that is above most people's pay grades.
I did see that there was quite a few conspiracy theories about who Rasputin is walking around as now. Some of the more popular ones are various Kardashians. That's probably Rasputin in one of them. But I don't know if you had any guesses of your own.
I mean, just think about people who just are resilient and don't die. Like Henry Kissinger is my theory.
Oh wow, that's true. That guy's been around forever, and he doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, and also you can rotate too. Like you could spend your days as one person, as your nights as somebody else in a different world. Like a memory that I have in college, I used to have these dreams for about 6 weeks straight where I'd go to sleep as my normal college self and I'd wake up as somebody else in the year Seattle in the year 2047 and just live in this hyper futuristic city doing random stuff and just being a spectator to the world in 2047. And then every night I'd go to bed in Seattle, I'd wake up in Santa Barbara and vice versa.
So what should the people who aren't woke know, and how do they become woke and realize it? Like, do you take control of your dream when you're in a dream sometime? Like, how do you become aware?
That's really a tricky question. I mean, it's not one process. You first have to let go. You have to let go of the old identity of you and your ego, and that you're not just you. And the thing is that you, as a physical person, is relatively inconsequential. If once you realize you can transcend your current existence, then the next thing you need to do is just stimulate your imagination. And there's many ways you can do that. Like people who are quote unquote on the spectrum tend to have easier time being woke because they are less engaged with external stimulus. So I mean, if you really want to, what you need to do is turn off your TV, stop listening to any sort of music with lyrics in it. So only instrumental if you're going to listen to music, because that just helps you get dive into your imagination. And no video games or social media or any like content outside of your own self. And then just go out into like an empty piece of nature and just be in your own mind for a while. That's kind of and then you start to realize there is a whole world already inside your imagination. Or your imagination is more sense the portal that you can use to kind of try to route yourself to another place. However, it's not that simple, but that's kind of a way to start.
And how important is your identity in, say, like your race or class or gender, and how you connect yourself to any of those things? Since that's obviously transferable, you could change at any moment. How do you change or disconnect from your identity to become woke?
Problem is it's random. I mean, some woke theorists believe, especially the more like I'd say like traditionally religious line ones, like Christian or Muslim wokeists, believe that um, your behavior in your previous woke state will just dictate what type of person you are in the next one. There is always some element of chance to it. It's not as random as an NCAA tournament bracket, but it is there is still some element of chance. Like you can't just say like I'm going to become George Washington tomorrow. You can just know that you can go like that's why you get this enlightenment through your imagination of the world that you're going to be taken to, but you don't know what person you'll be in that world. You usually stay the same gender though. That's the one thing that I've noticed.
So if you were, say, going to bed one night and you wake up in a different body, what happens to your body that your spirit left?
It's just you're just asleep, and you
So
may
will you
wake
come
up
back?
again. Yeah, you just come back the next morning,
I don't think I
or you may
fully
never come
understand
back,
it.
or somebody else will wake up as you.
And they'll have all the history of your life and they won't know?
Well, they kind of just get caught up really quick. Like if you wake up as a kid of somebody else, your parents will remind you who you are. Or
Uh,
sometimes you wake up and you just don't. You're like, wait, you don't recognize yourself in the mirror. Sometimes has that ever happened to you?
yeah, I've definitely had that feeling before.
That's a woke transition.
So what happens as far as um, the movement? Do you think this is a movement that's going to grow, or do you think it's something that'll always be in the shadows?
I
Can
mean,
you be,
it's grown in like the internet community. It's kind of derided similarly to things like I don't know, the crazy QAnon types or the hardcore like transcendentalist ecstatic dance meditation type you find in like the Bay Area, like the spiritual communities. Like it's in that level of obscurity. I'm not saying it's the same merits or I'm not trying to make any political statements here. I'm just saying that or I'm not or assessing the credibility. It's just that yeah, it's in that kind of like it's in the consciousness, but people kind of are afraid to touch it. I don't know if you have any good examples of something like that. Something that everybody really knows about, but it's not polite society to talk about.
yeah, I look at this movement and think the people that are a part of it are on the same level as stonemasons.
You mean Freemasons?
It's the Freemasons. It's an underground society that definitely exists,
Well, I
but
think
not openly practiced.
with what's happened with traditional religions, you've seen that a lot of people have lost faith in those and they're looking for something new, and this might be the alternative. Like some people have tried to use like their political beliefs or the rooting for their sports team or just the pursuit of making money or the living for the weekend as like their alternative sources of meaning. But this wokeism provides a difference to me. Everything's a dream. Like the world is just kind of your canvas to paint. You create your own stories and adventures. It's like you're playing a different. It's like playing video games in a way. Like you're a different character in every video game you play, and all you have to do is switch it. The difference is that with wokeism is that there's a supernatural force that switches it for you. You don't get to choose which game you play next, or at least not entirely. You kind of will it just through like channeling your energy, but it's not the same.
Okay. Well, if you guys are listening and you have some added knowledge to put in the comments below, please do. We'd love to hear what your opinions are on wokeism and how you have changed across time, transferred in and out of bodies, and become different people. Do you have anything to say to people who might be listening, Nick, or things that you want to add before we go?
Well, you better like or subscribe before you wake up as another person. But the second thing is, Brian, what are your thoughts on wokeism? Because it seems like I was just talking about it, and you didn't have
Oh,
much to
Nick,
say.
I don't want to step on such a hot button topic. I could wake up as somebody else tomorrow and be offended at myself. I could transition to someone offended by myself. I just don't know. So I'm
You
gonna
could wake
leave
up as
that
the
be.
guy who writes the hateful comment about you.
I'm not sure that they got to 15 minutes into this video, Nick. So we can say I am sorry for that person, and we will also never meet in person probably. So, anyways, with that, happy April Fools, guys.